used to watch all the movies on video and in the theatres also. But I was never clear about what I wanted to do for my career. It was always pilot banna, businessman banna, or like normal kids.
It's all children.
What you've grown up with, what you're passionate about from the bottom of your heart, that will always pull you in that direction. By the time I was in my mid-30s, I started becoming aware of a paternal instinct that I want to be a father someday. He's made it more fulfilled, he's made it more complete. I don't think I'll get married now. Being in the limelight is important if you're in the film industry, no matter what. That mantra was not something that we grew up with. We were sensitive. There was a lot of noise which was purely focused on trying to pull me down. So I think when there is a will, there's always a way.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tete-a-Tete with Inaya. I have a very special episode lined up for all of you today. I'm going to have a tete-a-tete with a member of one of the most recognizable families in Bollywood. He's a super hit actor and producer who has earned commercial and critical acclaim, having starred in movies such as Mujhe Kuch Kehna Hai, Kuch Dil Ne Kaha and the Golmaal franchise. And the accolades don't stop there. My guest on the show today is also India's first celebrity single dad and the author of the best-selling book, The Bachelor Dad, My Journey to Fatherhood and More. Tusshar Kapoor, welcome to my show, Tete-a-Tete with Inaya.
Thank you, Inaya, for the very, very warm welcome.
So, my first question for you is, I'm sure many people have already asked you this, but why did you decide to become a single dad? Was it something you've thought long and hard about? Like, how did it come to be?
No, I didn't think really long and hard about it. Of course, by the time I was in my mid-30s, I started becoming aware of a paternal instinct that I want to be a father someday. And I know that I can wait to get married, but I can't wait to become a child. There's always a time limit for starting a family where children is concerned, and where children are concerned. So I had to be mindful about that. So I started thinking on those lines that what about, single parenthood? And are there options available for people like me to become a parent without getting married? Not that I really ventured into doing something about it, but it was just a thought. And there were people, some of my friends in the US who were guiding me about fertility centers, etc. It was a big change of a thought process for me,
right.
And a new world completely. So I didn't really dwell much into it, but the germ, I think, began there. Somewhere the spark was actually already there from the time these conversations began. So to answer your question fully, I can't really answer it in one question because it's got so much that I can talk about, which is why I wrote this book called The Bachelor Dad, to basically address such concerns and questions that a lot of people have, the media, journalists, people from my fraternity. Why did you do it? What made you think about becoming a single parent? How did it come about? What was the process like? What were your feelings, thoughts, emotions at that point of time? So to answer all those questions, I wrote a book about my journey into becoming a single parent and even beyond. So the name of the book is called Bachelor Dad. It's in English and in Hindi, and you can order it on Amazon. So yeah, to answer your question,
But what finally sparked the decision? Like, how did you decide this is the path I want to go down?
Once I think these ideas began coming into my mind, I didn't really, as I said, dwell into it much, and I didn't really go further with it. But a chance encounter with one of my directors from my fraternity, Mr. Prakash Jha, while we were carpooling on the way back from Tirupati, he told me about a family that has started, become, like there is a lady in that family. Her name is Rutu Parekh, who's a single woman and who started her family as a single woman,
Right.
and has a daughter who's 2 years old. So he told me about this family, and he told me about how it's possible, and he made me speak to the family from that car drive only. So I spoke to them, and they said, come back to India and come back to Mumbai, and we will help you, guide you, we'll introduce you to the doctor. So that's where this journey began. So it wasn't like, I would say it wasn't one moment, because I met the doctor, then I thought about it. There were, stages that took me into this process. But I think when I spoke to him, I had the confidence that, okay, now there is someone who's done it. this is a possibility.
I can do it as
It's
well.
legal. I can do it as well. Now it's up to me to decide. So
Right.
that was the moment, that car drive.
And what was the reaction of your family when you finally took the decision?
I didn't really tell them when I took the decision. I
Okay.
wanted it to be my own decision. So I first slept over it a lot. I thought a lot about it. I met the doctor. I didn't share with anybody else, not even a friend, not even my
Right.
family. I just basically, introspected a lot. And
Because it's a
eventu-
very big decision.
Yes,
So.
eventually I took that call, and then when the IVF was successful, and we had to embark on the surrogacy process, I think it was actually after the surrogacy was successful too. I think that's when I told my parents,
Right.
because that's when there was no looking back. That's when there was no turning back. That's when I had to go ahead. So all my fears were out of the window. I mean, of course, you're never completely confident. It's a
Right.
new world, a new journey, a new beginning. But I had made up my mind by then, and then I had to tell my parents, because obviously I can't keep it away from them. Such a huge step. We live in the same house. We're a close-knit family. How can I hide this from them? And they have to be aware of what I'm doing, so that I can have a friend in the family, have friends in the family who can talk to me about this, who can address my queries, who can
Right.
address my fears if there are any. So I shared it with my mom first, and then she told dad, and then the doctor advised me that now you can tell your sister also. It was actually my doctor, Dr. Firuza Parekh, who guided me through this process. She told me, now you can tell your family, don't tell your family right now, now you can tell your family, because it's a very, there are laws of surrogacy. There's a huge book that
Definitely,
talks
yeah.
about the laws of surrogacy, and how you have to protect the rights of the individuals that come into the picture during this process. So you can't really break the confidentiality. So my doctor guided me about when and how and what can be done, the do's and don'ts. So when she told me you can tell your sister also now, I told my sister, because obviously we had to divide the house and create a nursery for the child that was about to come.
Right.
All that had to be organized. So yeah, I'm going into a lot of detail, but I guess that's also in this book.
It's all very interesting, honestly, because of course I haven't experienced it, but I've heard from my parents and so many people that parenting is definitely not easy. It's such a difficult task. So how difficult or how easy has it been for you being a single parent?
Well, it's not easy, it's a lot of work, but because I think I was ready I was ready for this new stage of my life. At that point of time, I was turning 40, and because I was very, very clear about becoming a parent, and because I was, transitioning into a new phase of my life quite naturally, I didn't find it difficult at all. I took every step
As it came.
something that fulfills me.
Yeah.
And it really completed my life, because I was alone, I was single. I mean, I have a few friends, and I'm not married, so I don't have a life partner. So when a child comes into the house and you have so much responsibility, when you have so much to do, so much to look forward to, and someone to love, then your life becomes complete. Those three important criteria for completing your life. So I didn't find it easy. I didn't find it hard at all. It was definitely not a cakewalk. It's a lot of work,
It never is.
but a work that you enjoy doing.
We've all heard that shooting schedules can be very hectic and you have to put in long hours at the set, then there's promotions and lots of traveling. So how have you managed to do all that while being a single dad?
When my son was just born, I had some time before I was starting my next film. There were a couple of months before Golmaal began.
Right.
So I got time to be with him. And even though I can do a lot of films, I don't usually do each and every film that's offered to me. I'm quite choosy in that manner. So I'm not working around the clock. But when we are shooting, we get sucked into that zone completely. So you have to be very, very mindful of how to balance your work and your life.
Right.
So when Golmaal started, my son was still a baby. He was not even one. So I used to have him come on sets. I have some help at home also, but I had a camera in his nursery and that was connected to my phone, so I could see what's happening in the nursery. And then when I went for the outdoor shoot in Hyderabad, he came with me throughout. So when he's a baby, you can do all those kinds of things. And then after Golmaal was over, then he was in school, then there was another gap. Then I did another project. In 2019, I did 3 projects, but he was already in school then. So I could go away for a few hours and meet him in the morning and in the evening. So I used to balance and manage my time in that manner. And then the pandemic took place in 2020. So we all were homebound. So that gave me a chance to do all the online schooling with him.
Definitely.
So somehow things have just fallen into place also. I think when there is a will, there's always a way. It's about time management. It's about nurturing your child to be a little more independent, so that he or she doesn't really miss you at every time you step out of the house. You have to give them some separation also, so that they don't get anxious when you're not with them. So it's a mix of a couple of things that makes this possible.
When you know there's something you have to do and you want to do it, then I'm
you
sure
can't
you'll
just
find a way.
disappear and not be there for your child, but you don't have to be there sitting on their heads like a helicopter also completely. So it's a combination of factors, and time management is the most important thing. Yeah.
Definitely. So when did you decide to write a book about your experience? How did that idea come?
Well, that was something that my friends were encouraging me to do, because they've seen my journey and they saw that being a single father, an actor, being a single man, an actor from a film family, and then to become a single dad is quite a unique journey. And they said that there are a number of firsts in your journey. I mean, you have broken a lot of myths, and you've kind of set the tone for a number of people who probably want to venture out a little differently but feel afraid to do so. So they said that why not talk about this journey, and why not, like you said, answer all the questions that people have who want to know so much. It's never enough, because everybody has so many preconceived notions about actors, about people who come from film families, about men in particular, and they can't imagine such people do something so radical. So they'll have a lot of questions. So my friends used to encourage me that why don't you talk about your journey, why don't you talk about what made you do this and why you are a path breaker.
Right.
Why don't you talk about your journey as an actor, how that has been different. It's not been easy. It's not been one wherein everything has been laid out for you. You studied abroad, which is also very, very unique for an actor's son to do. So they said, why don't you talk about this whole unique journey of yours, and then leading up to becoming a single parent, and what led you to that. And how are you doing it alone? A lot of people wonder, how are you managing? Who looks after your child? And how much time do you give? Does he ask questions? Because this family is a different family. So does your son have questions? That's the first and foremost thing everybody asks me. What about when he grows up? What if he asks you this? What if he asks you that? So I have spoken about all those issues in this book too.
And you've mentioned so many times in the book that Luxs changed your life for the better.
Yes, for sure he changed my life for the better. He's made it more fulfilled. He's made it more complete. I don't think I'll get married now. I don't need a life partner, because he's like my life partner, and he gives me my space also. He's very independent, so now I can go out for outdoor shoots, I can travel for events, and I don't need to be with him all the time. And he's happy with school. He's, I think, God sent for me, I think.
I think that's beautiful.
I don't need to have another child also. I mean, my parents just were telling me in between, why don't you have one more child, then two becomes a complete family. I said, no, I mean, my bandwidth isn't there right now to have one more child, because you have to do everything twice then. And I think I want to give my 100% to him. So for that to happen, I have to be mindful of the fact that it's just me alone who's doing it. So as a single parent, one is enough.
And what was Luxs' reaction to the book?
So as I said, he wasn't enjoying the photo session, but the book, he's a little curious about it. So he says, Papa, what is it about? I said, about you and me. Oh, it's about me. So he finds that very interesting. But I told him that it's about how I started a different family, and what was my journey like. So he has this vague idea that it's about my life, and it's more about him and me, and it's about our family. So it's not very, very articulated in his mind yet, but he understands what this book is about. He reads a lot of books,
right? That's good.
But not read this yet. So I guess it's not age appropriate for him right now.
Maybe something for when
Maybe
he's older.
when he's a teenager, yeah. Because you guys are growing up really fast. 8 is the new 18, they say now.
Definitely.
He's 8 now. Maybe I should ask him, do you want to read this book? He might just...
Maybe he'll appreciate it more when he's older.
Maybe he will.
He'll understand.
He'll understand more for sure. I think every time he reads it at a different stage of his life, he'll understand. He'll see different layers to the story, and he'll have more questions. Yeah, because their questions never end.
Yeah, because I've also been a really big reader since I was 3. Many books I read when I was young, and I didn't appreciate them fully as much as I can now. So I definitely think he'll enjoy the book when he's older. Does Luxs want a sibling? You said you were fine with having just him as a son, but does he want a sibling?
No, he hasn't mentioned that to me ever.
ever.
In fact, when my sister's son was born, so my sister also did exactly what I did. So when her son was born, I think for a few years he was quite resentful because he had to share all the love, he had to share all the importance. He loves his brother, but he feels a little cheated when the family gives both of them equal affection, because for a few years he was the only one. So I think the older sibling has that issue for some time. They love their younger sibling, but they also want to be the boss. So
The
he
transition, the
doesn't
change.
ask me for another sibling.
Mr. Suhail Mathur from the Book Bakers, he helped me publish my book, The Other Side by Om Books, and he's helped you as well.
Yes.
So how has your experience been like working with the Book Bakers?
So Hale, he's an inspiration. He just messaged me once about this book idea, and I took it up, and I didn't even know him before that. So it was again very, very God sent. I think my son was God sent. This book has been God sent. These are all like my own. I mean, the book is like a baby of mine. I've nurtured it myself. I've written it myself. And so Hale was the catalyst, into starting this book. He was the one who messaged me, and he wanted to meet up. So I met him up, and then he had a few suggestions of how I should do this, how
He's a
it's
great
possible.
mentor.
And of course, his marketing skills are phenomenal. So I'm always very, very happy to work with him, whether it's to go to a festival or whether it's to do a podcast like this. He's always hitting the right notes as far as marketing is concerned, at least. And he gets very embarrassed when I say that on camera, but I think it's a compliment and he should be happy about
Definitely.
it.
Now let's change the focus to your professional career and journey. So I believe you're working as a financial analyst in the US before coming back to India.
Yes, I was a financial analyst for an automotive supplier company in the year in 1998 to 99, and I was there for a year. I was studying there for 4 years. I graduated with a BBA degree, and then I did my 1 year work experience there, and then I decided to come back to India. I wanted to pursue a career within the film industry, but I didn't know whether I wanted to be an actor or a director, so I became an assistant director. And then out of pure luck and chance, I got an offer to act in a film, and I said, I'm going to see if this is the right opportunity for me, and I'm just going to do my best, and I took it up.
So did you want to be in the film industry since you were a child?
No. I was very fond of the film industry. I was a lover of movies. I used to watch all the movies on video and in the theatres also. But I was never clear about what I wanted to do for my career. It was always pilot banna, businessman banna, like normal kids.
It's all children.
So I was trying my best to actually find a niche for myself outside the film industry, which is why I went abroad to study, which is why I did business out there. But what you've grown up with, what you're passionate about from the bottom of your heart, that will always pull you in that direction.
Right.
Which is why I think somehow destiny pulled me back to India, and I became an actor. It was by sheer chance. Of course, being part of a film fraternity, you get the first film much easier. I mean, there are people waiting to launch you. But I got the right film at the right time, and that was sheer chance and luck. And the rest is in front of you here.
So your dad is one of the biggest legends in the industry. Your sister has been a trailblazer as well. So did that put pressure on you when you started out in the industry?
Not really, no. I was always, I came with that American mindset that I want to get my first job on my own. I don't want to be launched in a home production, which I adhered to. I found a break for myself outside the home production space, and I didn't take that pressure. There was a lot of noise, which was purely focused on trying to pull me down, which happens to a lot of star kids, that they're trying to find what's not right about you, what is raw about you, what is not correct about you, how are you unprepared, in which area, and they want to just highlight that. So that was a bit unnerving at first. I wasn't really prepared for the toxicity that this field, the harshness of this film industry brings to you and brings in the front. It was new for me, and I maybe wasn't mentally prepared to face that.
Right.
But the pressure of being from a film family, that I did not take. I was like, okay, I have got a job. This is my job, and I'm going to do it to the best of my abilities. I'm not going to cheat on my work. I'm going to block this noise out about who's my dad and who's my sister and whether it's good or bad or what, fair, unfair, everything. I'm just going to block that noise out. I'm going to focus on my work, and that's what saw me through the first film. Otherwise, I would have really got stressed out with, all the information overload that was just about beginning at that point of time in the early 2000s. Channels and radio stations and someone's talking good, someone's talking bad, and it was stressful at some points, because I remember I had a Mahurat for my first film, and I had a bad cold that day, so I was looking like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and they all just blasted me in the media saying that, oh, he's unprepared, he's not cut out for this profession, he looks tired, he's too raw, and that was tough. But I guess आज कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता मुझे. Maybe that was the learning I had to go through, and the toughening up that I had to go through.
But you've been a star kid all your life, so you've grown up in the spotlight. So to an extent, weren't you used to all of that?
No, we were never really exposed to the studio atmosphere. We were never really exposed to the media. We loved movies, but we were not acclimatized to the film industry. That if they're talking good or bad about you, it's good. It's all good as long as they're talking about you. That whole mantra of being in the limelight is important if you are in the film industry, no matter what. That mantra was not something that we grew up with. We were sensitive. And me and my sister both, we were quite sensitive, and I especially am an introvert. So for me to deal with all this, noise and the whole razzmatazz of being launched in the film industry was very, very new for me.
And you've achieved commercial and critical acclaim for so many of your roles throughout the years. So looking back, which ones are your favorites?
I don't have any favorites, but each film has taught me a new lesson, and each film has come with its own positives and negatives. So favorites, commercially, of course, the Golmaal franchise, you can't beat it. But there are some special milestones in my career. Obviously, my first film is what gave me the pehchan within the film industry, which is something that I can't trade for anything else in the world. So that is a very special film. Then Khaki was the turning point. The Golmaal franchise made me a household name, and thereafter there have been some critical successes like Shore in the City or Dirty Picture. Then nowadays a lot of people talk about Dhol, which is a film I did in 2007, which did okay at that point of time, but it's really, really popular online with the Gen Z social media crowd and the memes, and everyone really remembers that film. So that's turned out to be quite special. So these are a few milestone films of mine.
And you've of course been a big part of the Golmaal series. So would you say comedy is your strong suit?
I'd like to say that I enjoy every genre that I have attempted so far, but comedy is something that it's like a strength, because people accept me wholeheartedly in that. They like to watch me a lot, like families especially when they come to talk to me at a park or in the airport. They mostly say that they like me in my comedy films. So I think the acceptance is greater, and in that sense it's a strength for sure. But I think from my side, I feel I can do well in any genre. I mean, as long as I have a good director.
So of course you mentioned the Golmaal franchise. Can we have a famous dialogue from you?
Of course, yeah. So I'll talk about my who, e-it, who, I, and e-it.
That was brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay. So what do you prefer, being an actor or a producer? Because like we've seen so many actors now becoming producers in films, and I've seen you've also done that in your career. So what do you prefer, being an actor or a producer?
I think being an actor is a high. It's a satisfaction that I can't describe. When I'm on set and I'm doing my scenes, I forget about the fact that I'm working. It becomes enjoyment for me, and I can keep working, just trying to better myself, just trying to get that creative satisfaction. Production is another world, and it's a thankless job. It's damn hard. It's very unpredictable, because you're dealing with one chaos after another every day. So you have to be very strong to be a producer. But it's a different high. It's another avenue, and I did it purely because no other actor had done it also. So that's another first. Not just the book, not just the baby, but also the fact that I produced a film without me in it, and that I don't think many, or I don't think any actor has done. A lot of actors have produced films for themselves, or they've lent their name to a film as part of their fee or something, like like a joint venture kind of a
They
thing.
help produce what they've already acted in.
What they've already acted in. Yeah, they haven't really gone out of their comfort zone and made a film with another actor, completely new actor. So that's something that I did because it was exciting. The subject was good. It took a long time to make that movie, and then in the pandemic we had to give it to the OTT platform to release it. But it was another journey of many lessons and lot to gain from.
Definitely.
But acting comes first, yeah.
Okay, so what's next on the horizon for Tushar Kapoor?
Well,
Any projects you're thinking of?
Yes, of course. 10 June ki raat, 2 seasons are already out on Jio Cinema. It's a out and out mass show about relationships and the drama that happens within this one family in Raniganj. And I'm the central character. My name is Panoti. And it's his story. Ideally, he's the main protagonist, and his relationships and his ups and downs and his roller coaster of a journey of life. So that is what is already on air. There are going to be a few more seasons. Then Welcome 3 has it's halfway through. We are halfway through with this film. That's a huge cast, and that's going to be out next year too. Then there's Kap Kapi, which I've completed. That has to be released. It's a horror comedy.
Right.
And I'm doing a film called Dunk, which is a courtroom drama. And that's again a very new genre for me and a new role for me also. So some of these films, some of these are the projects that I'm looking forward to.
Any more books, writing projects?
Not really, not right now. Maybe yeah, Bachelorette 2.0. I have to feel inspired to write another book. It has to, take this to another level. So I haven't really gotten the inspiration yet, and I'm so enjoying talking about this book itself because it came out at a time when bookstores were shut. So now that everything is open, I can enjoy promoting my book all the more. When I'm done with this, I guess I'll talk about the next one.
Thank you so much, Tushar, for joining me on this episode of my show. I really loved having you here, and I'm sure the viewers also really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much, viewers, for tuning into this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.